Today we will be teaching you about the deadly virus Ebola.
First, we will discuss some background information about the virus. It was originally named for the Ebola River located in the Congo. It is believed that the first cases of Ebola originated here. The virus has no established origin, location, or habitat, and fruit bats may cause the animal-to-human transmission, and close contact allows human-to-human transmission. The Ebola virus causes Ebola hemorrhagic fever, and this disease has a high mortality rate of up to 88%.
Next, we will discuss the microbiology of the virus. It is an RNA virus that is encased in a lipid envelope. It is part of the Filoviridae family. It has 5 subtypes. Each of these are named based on the region in which they were found: Reston, Ivory Coast, Bundi-Bujo, Sudan, and Zaire.
Not all subtypes are created equally. Different subtypes have different severities. 4 of the 5 strains are lethal to humans. These are the ones that are found in the Ivory Coast, Bundi-Bujo, Sudan, and Zaire.
Now we will discuss Ebola transmission. Ebola can be transmitted in many different ways. These include blood, bodily secretions, and needles. The healthcare setting accounts for the majority of Ebola transmissions. You may be wondering, can Ebola be transmitted through the air? It has been able to do this in the lab, but fortunately, this has not been observed elsewhere. How severe is Ebola? This disease inspires fear because of its rapid onset, definitive symptoms, and poor prognosis. In addition, there is no treatment beyond supportive measures. It is easily misclassified because its initial symptoms are very similar to that of the flu, making quarantine difficult to enforce on populations. The basic symptoms for Ebola are headache, fever, joint and muscle ache, sore throat, and weakness. Once transmission occurs, incubation lasts from 2 to 21 days. After the initial symptoms previously noted, more severe symptoms develop after 5 days. These severe symptoms include rash, nausea, and vomiting within 5 days of initial symptoms. Bleeding from mucous membranes after full onset may also occur. This bleeding leads to external and internal hemorrhaging.
Ebola is a smart virus. It has been hypothesized that Ebola may be evolving to keep its victims alive longer. This would increase the disease's ability to spread through more exposure.
Just before death, the worst of the symptoms occur. These patients may experience tachypnea, hypotension, anuria, hiccups, and coma. However, not all cases are lethal. It appears that tachypnea is the determinant factor as to whether a patient will live or die. If tachypnea is observed along with hiccups, death is more likely for the patient.
How do we treat this terrible disease? All that can be done for these patients is to treat the symptoms and maintain fluid levels in the body. There is no available cure for Ebola, so very little can be done.
Wait, are we in danger? The only cases in the U.S. are of Ebola Reston in Reston, Virginia, which is the only non-lethal strain. Thankfully, Reston appears to only affect primates. Humans may become infected and develop antibodies, but don't develop any symptoms. Reston has been shown to travel through the air from primate to primate.
How is the rest of the world faring? Here we have the recent outbreaks and how they occur. Ebola Zaire has had 13 outbreaks since 1976, and most recently in 2009, where the mortality rate was 88%, leaving over 1,000 dead. These outbreaks occur when a single human travels deep into the rainforest and eats something that is contaminated. Normally, this happens in remote villages in West and Central Africa.
This is a map showing where outbreaks occur. As you can see, the largest circle is in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where there has been 6 outbreaks since 1976. The most recent outbreaks were in Guinea and Liberia, with Guinea having the larger outbreak of the two.
Ebola in the news. It is feared that 3 people may be infected with Ebola in Mali. Labs have been sent to the U.S. to be tested for confirmation.
Guinea has also been in the news recently. They are currently experiencing their first Ebola outbreak. In the past, cases have been further away geographically in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda. Bats in Guinea may be the cause of this outbreak. It is thought that bats may be a major carrier of the Ebola virus. This has led to strict regulation and bans on selling and consumption of bats. The virus can go unnoticed because bats are asymptomatic to the Ebola virus.
Now we will give you a detailed update about what is happening. As of April 20th, Guinea's Ministry of Health had reported 208 suspected and confirmed cases. 136 of these resulted in death, and 112 were confirmed lab results. On April 21st, Liberia's Ministry of Health and Social Welfare reported 34 suspected and confirmed cases. 11 of these consisted of death, and only 6 have been confirmed through lab tests. The samples tested from Mali and Sierra Leone have been negative so far, but precautions are being taken. Even though we cannot yet treat the devastation, what is being done? In Guinea, Doctors Without Borders have been helping the Ministry of Health establish treatment and isolation centers in the epicenter of the outbreak. What about in Liberia? Here, there are 3 organizations putting an effort to help prevent infection from continuing. These organizations are the International Red Cross, the Pentecostal Mission Unlimited Liberia, and the Samaritan's Purse. These groups are helping to provide awareness campaigns across the nation and also provide personal protective equipment for healthcare workers. Will there ever be a cure for Ebola? At Fort Detrick, Maryland, research has been occurring just for this purpose, and they may have a breakthrough. Researchers have reported the discovery of a small molecule that rescues rodents and monkeys from various hemorrhagic fevers. This molecule is named BCX4430.
What is this molecule? BCX4430 highly resembles adenosine in our DNA. But let us consider the mechanism of action. When introduced to the virus, it takes up BCX4430 instead of adenosine, which then blocks further growth and reproduction, which prevents the virus from spreading. But wait, wouldn't that have the same effect on humans and kill our cells as well? Luckily, human cells are not fooled by BCX4430 and are not affected by its damaging effects. What are the actual results? All of the monkeys in this study that did not receive BCX4430 died by the 12th day. Of the monkeys that received the molecule containing medicine, all but 1 survived. This was even if the initial dose came from the 48-hour infection. Overall, 17 of the 18 monkeys treated survived their Ebola infection. This concludes our informational presentation about Ebola. Thank you for your time, and we hope that you enjoyed gaining a little extra knowledge. As Einstein said, to raise new questions, new possibilities, to regard old problems from a new angle, requires creative imagination and marks real advances in science. We used several sources to confirm our information, and we'd like to thank them all here. This presentation was brought to you by UMKC School of Pharmacy students enrolled in the Zoonotic Illness course. Thank you again for your time.